Hi everyone, I'm Hallie. Welcome to Ledger and Lace. Today is the first day of Jane Austen July. This is a sort of preparation video for if you've never read Jane Austen and you find yourself Jane Austen curious. I am here to help. So this is just something pretty to look at for now. This comes from Nick the Booksmith's Jane Austen Printable Digi-Kit, and I'll have a link down in the description box below. And in fact, anything I mention, I will have that links to it in the description box below. So let us dive in. Everything I'm going to tell you comes from my background in brain-based learning. I used to be a classroom teacher, and I certified with Eric Jensen, and I'm not going to go into the weeds of what it is, except to say that basically brain-based learning takes the latest neuroscience and applies it to learning in the classroom. And so everything I'm going to tell you is based on science. It's backed by science. And if you're more interested in that, I can do another video going into, the weeds of it. But some people don't need to know how electricity works to flip on a light switch. So that's what I'm doing here for you. So if you found yourself Jane Austen curious, I'm going to show you what I did to help me ease myself into it, to make it easy. So first of all, the brain wants safety. The brain needs to feel safe. It needs to feel secure. Emotions matter. Then, number two, it seeks novelty, and that is, ooh, what's this? So let us apply this to Jane Austen. Unfortunately, school is kind of the opposite of being brain friendly, oftentimes. It's brain boring, it's brain annoying, it's brain hostile, and sometimes, unfortunately, brain traumatizing. So that's why I'm saying let's ease into Brain Austen. So with Brain Austen, ha ha, Freudian slip. Okay, so if you're like me, you might have had a few academic snobby professors or snooty English teachers who just chuck you into the deep end of not necessarily Jane Austen, but any classics literature pool, and then just shriek at you to swim. And then when you don't get it, Mrs. Reynolds, I'm not going to spoon feed you. Well, at least give me something here. But then they blame you for not getting it or for not liking it. And so when I was getting into Jane Austen, I was like, okay, how can I apply what I know about the brain and learning to Jane Austen? And this is what I do with anything I'm learning new, is how can I, make this easy? And number one, also fun, because that is how we learn initially, is visually, auditorily, kinesthetically, and tactilely. So visual, auditory is hearing, kinesthetic is movement, and tactile is with your hands. And it's how we learn before we get to school and have our butts stapled to our desk seats. So number one, I'm looking at, okay, how can I make this fun? But also then, how can I prime my brain so that you're not just getting tossed into the waves and being expected to learn everything all at once, or to just flounder. But how do you ease into it? So this is what I'm going to suggest, because this is what worked for me. Number one, I started with Pride and Prejudice. That's Jane Austen's most popular book, I think. And I started with, so this is the visual part. Start with the BBC Pride and Prejudice. it's a series, it's 6 episodes. It goes more in depth into details. And for some entertainment, go read the 1-star reviews because they're hilarious. In fact, if you love Jane Austen, read the 1-star reviews because they really are very funny. And sort of reflective of how I felt before I really became, a Jane Austen convert. So start there. And then for some contrast or comparison, you can also watch the 2005 Pride and Prejudice movie with Keira Knightly. That's a movie, so they edit out a lot of details, also some characters, because there's just not room to give it justice in, the time frame of a movie versus a whole series. So that's the visual part. That will give you a foundation of at least knowing what's going on, and then your brain is primed. So then once you do the visual part, then it's time to ease into auditory. Well, I mean, you're getting the auditory as well with the movies and the series. But something I discovered recently was the BBC radio had a dramatic retelling of all the Jane Austen novels. So it's on Audible, and I got a 3-month trial for 99 cents, which is yay. So I could listen to those. But then also you can go into the audio book and listening to someone read it. Now, some people get a bee in their bonnet about, well, that's not really reading. You know what? We're all adults. You do you, and if this is how you can get into Jane Austen or anything, then you know what? So what? They can get their petticoats all in a twist. So to the audiobooks. Now, this is how you can weave in the kinesthetic by moving. So kinesthetic is all about moving your body. So you can do it, you can listen while you're exercising. Ha ha ha. Exercising is like gardening for me. I like the idea of it. So treadmill, walking, even cleaning counts as exercise. Also, if you're commuting, so in the car, on a train, on a bus, wherever. And then the other thing is, if you want to introduce tactile, which is hand, then you can knit, crochet, do paint by numbers. Clark Kedley was talking about how he listens to audiobooks and he does puzzles while he's doing it. So it gives you something else to focus on, but also, according to Carla Hannaford in Smart Moves, Why Learning is Not All in Your Head, when you are using your hands, we have a tremendous amount of nerve endings in our fingers and hands. And so whenever you're doing anything with your hands, it's also helping, it's sending little impulses through your nervous system to your brain, and it creates engagement with your brain. So you're really stimulating other areas of your brain that help lock in memory. And so when you do visual, auditory, kinesthetic, tactile, it's more ways for your brain to remember things and to make connections. Okay, so now the next thing I would suggest is, let me set this aside, is you're going to want to understand a little bit about Regency history. Because Jane Austen is 200 years ago, so there are books that you can read, and I will have a list of these down below. There's this. There is Jane Austen's England. That's really pretty with the embroidery. There is Elegant Etiquette in the 19th Century. This is what I'm reading for Jane Austen July. There is Jane's Fame, How Jane Austen Conquered the World. There is What Jane Austen Ate and Charles Dickens Knew. But what I'm going to suggest is don't start there. the best place is to start with a children's book. Now, why am I suggesting this? Because if you want an overview and you don't want to be overwhelmed with looking at nothing but text and slagging through it, get a children's book because it gives you the big picture. It's simple, and so this one is fabulous because it gives you a timeline on 2 pages. Here you go. Want to know what's going on? Want to know what's going on in Jane Austen's life or in the Regency period? We've got the Napoleonic Wars happening. It's all here. Plus, it's got really nice pictures. So I will flip through this and just give you, and then we have little activities, design a coat of arms. Here's some more history. So you get the idea. Like, it helps you to understand, get a really good grasp, but you don't have to get your PhD in history to be able to read Jane Austen. So that is, here's A Clergyman's Daughter. This also has like a thing on tea, education. So it really gives you a great overview of what is going on in Jane Austen's time period. So, okay, that is it for now. Again, I'll have links down in the description box below. If you want more information about brain-based learning and want me to do a follow-up video, I can do that. I am reading just a snippet of Pride and Prejudice in another video, but for now, we're done. And any tutorials or crafty kind of things I'm doing, we're going to do stencils, we're going to make pen boards. I have a thing on dip pens and writing and letter writing and all this sort of stuff. That's coming up for the month. Okay, but for now, okay, go forth. Ease yourself, dip your toes into the Jane Austen pool, and behold, it will be wonderful. All right, talk to you later. Bye.